Hey everybody, I'm Ian.
I'm Steve. Welcome back.
We are still the developers of Downbelow, but we're going to actually talk about a subject that's not extremely specific. We're going to talk about how to be good players, good GMs, and all-around good members of the RPG community.
And let's be honest here, here's something we're not talking about. We're not talking about to be a GM, you must have developed these skills. Or to be a GM, you must carry out these practices this way. Or anything of that sort. We're talking about general what it takes to be a conscientious player, a good player, a model GM. This is actually irrelevant to your skill at the task at hand, but no matter how good or bad you are at carrying out the tasks, people will be happy to have you if you do these things.
These are more social skills, interpersonal skills that will make your time at a gaming table better.
And the less time you have to worry about breaches of these social skills, the more time you're going to have to really examine, well, let's face it, why we're here in the first place, playing the game.
Some of these things are definitely held in common.
And we're going to talk about some of those now, since we've got time in the intro to the series.
And the ones in common basically come down to extremely basic social skills that you'd think that people would have a handle on, but you never know what walk of life people come from, and so let's just go over some basics.
Honestly, and here's another thing, there's sometimes that people will have a common mental hang-up, and I'm going to address that right now if that's okay. Common mental hang-up is, that's okay, it's just a game. Do use this to excuse things going wrong in-game. If you can't make rolls to save your life, seriously, it's okay. It's a game. Pretendy fun time games, let it go. On the other hand, if you find yourself using this as an excuse to not show up, or to not communicate, which are things we're going to talk about in just a moment, then really, no, it's not just a game. It's a social contract between people, between adults, where you have agreed to do something with them on a schedule, and often people have very busy schedules these days. Please keep your schedule. So, no, it's really not just a game, even though it is.
So the first basic thing that affects everybody, to sum it up, is communicate about schedules.
Yep.
And communicate about changes in schedules.
This is often a problem because many gaming groups start in high school and college, where everyone has functionally the same schedule and is forced to be in the same place for multiple hours of a day. It's very easy to meet up with your friends between classes in the cafeteria and figure out what's going on next. This changes as soon as you get into the real world.
One person leaves that schedule, you got a problem.
Many people figure this out for themselves, many people don't. This is something that's vital. Communication in general is very important. Communication about the schedule even more so. You need to schedule time for fun when you grow up. It sounds stupid, but it's true.
So, this leads us to another thing that will be important for the people coming from high school or college into the gaming community. And some adults also need this said.
Yeah.
If you're going to be around other people, there is a hygiene and cleanliness aspect to your interactions with them. You are going to be in a room with people for 3 to 4 hours at a time, and you need to avoid massive body odor, which means you need to have showered, and you're going to need to clean up after yourself, which means that if you brought food or drink, or were provided food or drink at the location because your host was very nice to you, or what have you, then you need to probably at least help out by taking your own trash and putting it in the trash can. You don't necessarily have to go way out of your way and do dishes for the place.
Although it's always accepted if you do. Well, almost always.
Some people have different policies about that, but you should at least ask your host where they want you to put the dishes, things like that.
A slight variation on the backpacker's mantra is a very helpful thing here. Do your best to leave the gaming space slightly better than you entered it. That's all it is, really. Very basic, common courtesy, because just like the GM goes out of their way to prepare the session of the adventure, the host, whether or not they're also the GM, goes out of their way to give you a space to game in, supplies to game in, and, well, space should be respected, as should people's contributions.
So the final common aspect to engaging socially with other gamers that I want to touch on is just what subjects do you talk about when you're having table talk outside the game? You should probably avoid subjects which you discover or already know to be sensitive or offensive to members of the group.
This also includes take time to learn about other members of the group and learn to read their signals. If you're not good at reading signals, well, seriously, learn. Learn what people care about, and at the table, don't poke at it. You're not here to poke at it.
If you find out that somebody is strongly religious in one religion or another, then don't insult their religion at the table.
If you yourself are that religious person, the same goes for you. Don't cram it down other people's throats at the table. Do what you will outside the table, but you are here to play a game.
If you are in a discussion about dating, for example, and somebody gets offended by the way that you talk about potential romantic partners, take note of that, and you should not bring that up again. You should try to avoid making trouble at your gaming table.
This is not us saying, sit back, be a pushover. This is far from it, because there are often times that perfectly legitimate and valid beliefs will actually cause irrational responses. This is us saying, if it's not going to blow up at the table and need to be diffused immediately, put the pin in the grenade, deal with it away from the table. There's a time and place for it, and stopping the flow of the game when you have 6 to 8 people gathered for the game is usually the worst option.
Final subject to note is politics. Everybody has strong opinions about them once they start to get to know them, because they have effects on all our lives, but when you're trying to play a role-playing game is not the time to try to debate them, usually.
Again, various beliefs, correct or incorrect, not my place to say, but one thing is for certain, when you talk about politics at the gaming table, the game stops, and you have to get out and push.
So, the common thread among all these things is that you should do your best to make sure that you are not the one bringing the game to a grinding halt because this problem was something that you could have made not there, but it was there because you didn't get rid of it.
The closing note that I'm going to give is you're going to hear this twice more, because this is going to be important. It's important enough to say 3 times, and I'll say it this time and in both of the next episodes. The most important thing at the gaming table, besides possibly communication, is respect. Respect your fellow player. Respect your GM. GMs respect your players. Respect the situation and respect the group. Because you are here to do one thing. Focus on respecting that.
And we respect you and appreciate your watching us. We will see you next time.